Hi, and thanks for your interest in the work I've done in collaboration with Landry Bowles and Jared Lewis-Peacock in the Loopy Lab at the University of Texas at Austin using eye tracking to look at attention allocation during prospective remembering. This is the short 5-minute version of the presentation where I'm going to present an overview of the work. If you have any questions or want further information, please do not hesitate to send me an email and we can chat. In this project, we used eye tracking in order to get a more specific characterization of how individuals allocate attention while performing a perspective memory task. Perspective memory is our ability to perform intentions at an appropriate time in the future in spite of concurrent and competing demands from the environment. Previous research has primarily relied on a behavioral dual task interference measure referred to as PM-COS to dissociate two strategies individuals use to perform PM tasks. The first strategy is referred to as proactive control and is characterized by the effortful allocation of resources towards strategically monitoring the environment for a cue to perform the prospective intention and/or sustained maintenance of that intention. The other strategy is referred to as reactive control and is characterized by forming a cue-action association that is stored in memory until a cue from the environment triggers retrieval of the intention. However, because PM-COS are this indirect proxy for strategy that conflate many possible sources, there is still debate about what PM-COS actually represent and more generally how individuals adjust attention allocation in order to perform PM tasks. In this project, we used eye tracking in order to directly quantify the strategic monitoring component of PM strategy during PM task performance. We also evaluate how that monitoring component changes across different ongoing demands in order to see how individuals adapt PM strategy in different contexts. Lastly, we directly relate the often used PM-COS measure to our measurements of strategic monitoring to help answer what exactly PM-COS can tell us about PM strategy and PM performance. We had participants perform an ongoing visual search task, where they looked for a rightward-facing horizontal arrow and an array of other distractor arrows, indicating if the horizontal arrow was present or absent in that array. We manipulated the difficulty of the ongoing task by adjusting how similar the distractor arrows were to the target arrow on that trial. We embedded a perspective memory task by introducing a unique face or scene item to participants at the beginning of each trial and told participants to continue to perform the ongoing arrow search task. However, if this particular face or scene popped up on the screen, they should respond target instead of present or absent to the arrow array. There were some trials with no face or scene target, referred to as no PM trials, so that we could compare performance between trials when participants did and did not have a perspective intention. Our measure of overt monitoring was tracking when individuals were fixated on the face and scene items. The first analysis here simply replicates previous work from the lab demonstrating that on average, participants do not need to sacrifice performance on the ongoing task in order to perform the perspective memory task, and do not sacrifice performance on the perspective memory task in order to perform the ongoing task. We also replicate previous work from the lab showing that PM costs are greatest when the task is easy and decrease as the ongoing task difficulty increases. A quick summary of the middle row is that both overt monitoring and engagement with the arrow search task drive PM costs, not simply overt monitoring alone. Additionally, the relationship between overt monitoring and PM costs changes as a function of ongoing task difficulty. The plot on the right here shows that by using the arrow and PM item fixation durations, we are about able to double our ability to explain variance in subsequent PM performance compared to using PM cost alone. And in fact, adding PM cost to the fixation measures does not statistically improve the model. In my opinion, the most interesting result is this last set, where we really take advantage of the eye tracking temporal resolution, where we can get a sample every 4 milliseconds. These plots show average fixation location across probes with data being binned by PM cost level. The red bar is probes with high PM costs, the gray is mid-level costs, and the blue is probes where no cost was observed. The top dotted line and above indicates where fixation location on average was within the PM item ROI. The bottom line and below indicates when the fixation location was on average within the arrow array, and between the dotted lines would mean that the average fixation location was somewhere between the two. I also separated this analysis by difficulty of the ongoing task. we see that on high-cost PM probes, there's an early and prolonged monitoring of the PM items. On no-cost probes, we see an opposite pattern, where fixations are squarely within the arrow array until the last quarter of the probe and then switch to the PM items. Future analyses using pupillometry and diffusion modeling will hopefully allow for us to determine the nature of those late shifts of attention. In summary, eye tracking allows for more time-sensitive and direct analyses of the mechanisms that support perspective remembering. Using these tools, we've been able to uncover PM strategy differences that are normally obscured by the oft-used PM cost measure. And lastly, this data suggests that there's a way to capture and characterize the nuance between levels of proactive and reactive control to better describe the ways individuals adjust their attention allocation in order to perform perspective intentions successfully. Thanks for your time, and if you have further questions or want to learn more, please do not hesitate to contact me.